c'est un assassin.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 864. Hello, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from Cafe Anyway, here at the last place on earth located somewhere in Podcaster Valley. Today, the return of the much-loved feature WOW SCHATZ WOW. Plus, we hear from Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, the Brewmaster. And did you know that MikesDailyPodcast.com is mobile-friendly? It's very stripped down and no frills, but it's mobile-friendly, and that's important due to some big Google news today. Mike's Daily Podcast. We find out more mobile friendly. Now that sounds like someone who's really friendly and moves around all day. Mike's Daily Podcast. What's the deal with people who give you a call, then when you don't answer, they don't leave a voicemail message at all? Is that at all respectable? What were you calling about? Is your reason acceptable? I'm not your hairy bitch, and I'm not going to call you right back when you... Mike's Daily Podcast. Just call and don't leave a message. That's how I feel about this. It's true. Mike's Thank you, Alexander Bell. Daily You've really messed up my world. Podcast. Except for all the cool interviews that I've done. Yeah! Over the phone with awesome musicians on this show. Now, that was pretty darn cool. Yeah, so we're going to get to that about mobile friendliness and, Ebola. What the hell happened to that? It was all the rage a year ago, sadly, and then it vanished, which is a good thing, but is it still around? What's the latest news? What did happen last year? Look who just walked in. Hi, Mike. It's Benita, the rodeo queen. Hi, how you doing?
And it's a disgruntled fiddle player, tell you what.
What?
You know, I just hate cell phones altogether, and mobile-friendly people annoy me.
You know, I think the better term instead of mobile-friendly would be smartphone-friendly, but they seem to go with mobile-friendly, because in England they call it the mobile phone.
Well, you know, what they do in England is they suppress us, and they make us spend a bunch of money on things like molasses. They put a tax on that, tell you what.
Oh, thanks for clarifying that. Look who else just walked in.
Hi there, Mike. I make the Brewmaster. Oh, boy.
Brewmaster, just want to let you know that I let Shelley Schuhart know that you're in love with her and she's okay with that.
All right, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, so, you know, on our way to making a big chick flick, a big romantic movie, date movie, we have completely speared that, knifed that, and it's no longer going to happen because apparently we took all the air out of it. Because usually we would, you know, you would say you liked her, but then she wouldn't know if she liked you or not and everything.
I know, Mike, I hate all that dramatic tension.
Yeah, so we just cut all that out. And John Deere the engineer, the last show he wanted to sing Funky Cole Medina to Floyd the Floorman, but he was afraid of getting subpoenaed.
Well, Mike, that sounds like a really scary and enthralling plot point that we missed on the last show if we were not listening to it.
Yeah, so you should go back and listen to it. And I think we're all going to travel to Europe. Mike, I wanted to travel to Europe with Madame Rutabaga, not with y'all. Oh, it's just going to be a girl thing. Yeah, y'all not invited. No, disgruntled fiddle player.
None taken. We're getting a divorce.
No, wait. That can't happen. You two got to stay married. That's like the cool thing about this show. That we have a married couple. And they're both cowboy-wearing country folk.
Yeah, well, she gonna go to Europe. I'm just gonna not be married to her. She can go and find that hot Italian stallion, whatever she's looking for, and I'll just stay here. Maybe date Juliana Goule.
Is it Goule or Guile? Guile?
I don't know, but she hot.
She is. Nobody knows who she is, but you know what? That's fine. Let's hear it for her and all the listeners of this show because they look marvelous.
Mark, do that Fernando voice, that old Fernando voice that y'all do, that Billy Crystal did.
All right. You look marvelous.
All right, that was cool.
Is everyone happy? Mike, I don't know. My husband wants to get a divorce. I don't think I'm that happy. Oh, let's all work it out. Why don't you guys go outside and work it out? Okay. Bye. I'm going outside working it out. Yeah, the smartphone is where it's all at. If you have a website, MikesDailyPodcast.com is on the cell phone. It's very stripped down, very plain, very just the blog and where you can listen to the show and all that. But there's other things. Other websites don't have a web-friendly presence, and they're going to be buried, according to ComputerWorld.com. Starting today, Google, the world's most popular search engine, is using a new algorithm for mobile searching. All right, everywhere she says mobile searching, this Sharon Godin who wrote this article, I'm going to say smartphone, because that's the real way to say it. Otherwise, I think we're being mobile and we're walking around, which is good. They say people that sit a lot are going to die earlier. So, in other words, the change means that websites that have been designed to be smartphone friendly will get higher placement on Google's smartphone search results. Websites that aren't designed to run well and look good on smartphones and tablets will sink in Google's mobile search rankings. Oh no. If companies aren't running smartphone-friendly sites, they could lose out to competitors with higher rankings on Google search, and that could be a big business problem. The new algorithm will affect all languages worldwide. An analyst with Technology Business Research says if you've been coasting along with a one-size-fits-all site, you're going to find yourself further down the list. But frankly, if people found that navigating your site was like Alice in Wonderland, getting larger and smaller and hard to navigate, you were already alienating them. It's a much-needed kick in the pants. Most sites need more attention to the user experience anyway. That's why mine is really simple. While it is, I tried anyway to strip it down. While this, and may I just add to this wonderful expert from Technology Business Research, that if your website has a bunch of flash, and if I click on your website and all of a sudden I start to hear this audio coming out of nowhere because there's some tiny little screen, tiny little window, TV window somewhere on your website that starts playing a commercial or starts playing somebody talking, I don't know, and that messes up my computer and causes the whole thing to crash, I'm never going to your website again. Just going to let you know that. Forget about if you're smartphone friendly or not. While this may mean more work for businesses that need to update their sites, it also means a better experience for users who will be directed to smartphone friendly sites. Google first warned companies in February that its smartphone search algorithm would be changing today. When it comes to search on smartphone devices, users should get the most relevant and timely results, no matter if the information lives on smartphone-friendly web pages or apps, the company wrote in a blog post. As more people use smartphone devices to access the internet, our algorithms have to adapt to these usage patterns. What do you think about that? Do you like the term mobile-friendly? Or do you think it's ridiculous? And smartphone friendly is probably the more accurate. Do you think that people that call you on a smartphone or whatever phone, and when you don't answer and they don't leave a message, and then they call back, let's say later, and let's say you can't leave, like let's say they call 3 or 4 times. Let's say you never answer your smartphone and those people never leave voicemails. Do you think that that's messed up? Or should I answer my smartphone once in a while? We read your comments on the section emails for me-mail and your calm and not so comments. Email me, MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. You can also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show or if you'd like to sponsor the show. And you can comment on the show, of course, on Facebook. Like the Facebook page when I post a new show. Share with your friends and more people will find out about us. We're also on Twitter. And please retweet us so more people find out about us. And links to all of those at MikesDailyPodcast.com, the website that is also mobile friendly. And you can also find links to where to listen to us in iTunes. Subscribe to us in iTunes. You can comment on the show and rate the show there. If you do that, more people will find out about us and we don't languish in obscurity. Also at MikesDailyPodcast.com, where to find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podomatic, Mixcloud, Spreaker, Player FM, and Ameristream. That's all those places you can listen to us on those devices and apps and websites. You can also find links to where to find us on Tumblr, Yelp, and Instagram. And there's the Amazon link. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, go through that link at MikesDailyPodcast.com. when you buy something through Amazon, go through MikesDailyPodcast.com first, and that helps us out. There's also the blog, the Daily Podcast picture, and all my past interviews at MikesDailyPodcast.com.
Wow Schatz Wow.
And I don't know why, but I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell. I know right now you can't tell.
Unwell. Last year, sadly, a lot of people were unwell with the Ebola virus. And the Dallas hospital that treated the first patient to be diagnosed in the U.S. with Ebola lied to Congress when it said its staff was trained to handle the deadly virus. A nurse who contracted the disease contends this in a recent lawsuit. Nina Pham, who was an intensive care unit nurse at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital, Dallas, says, after being told last fall that she would be treating a patient suspected of having Ebola, the sum total of information she was given to protect herself was, quote, what her manager Googled and printed out from the internet. Wow Schatz Wow. That's why we call this segment Wow Schatz Wow. Stories that make you go, wow Schatz. That my mom calls me Schatz, and when I would tell her something surprising, she'd go, wow Schatz Wow. That's why we call this segment that. Well, Nina Pham says in her lawsuit that the day after getting that information, the patient Thomas Eric Duncan tested positive for the disease. Duncan, who contracted Ebola in his native Liberia, but started showing symptoms during a trip to the U.S., died at the hospital. Pham, who is 26 years old, and another nurse who treated Duncan, Amber Vinson, contracted the disease, but thankfully both recovered. The lawsuit describes a chaotic situation at the hospital, where nurses scrambled to decide what kind of personal protective equipment to wear without any formal guidance or training from their supervisors. The lawsuit says that Texas Health Resources wholly failed to ensure that appropriate policies, procedures, and equipment were in place. Clear drop cloths were taped to the ceiling and walls of the hallway to create a makeshift containment facility. Nurses had to dispose of hazardous waste, a job they weren't trained for, and hazardous material placed in the room next to Duncan's was allowed to pile up, the lawsuit alleges. This according to the Daily Journal from the Bay Area. On the first day, Pham treated Duncan when Ebola was suspected but not yet diagnosed. She wore a regular isolation gown, double gloves, a surgical mask with a plastic shield, and double booties. She says her hair and neck were exposed and that she wasn't given a change of clothes to wear home. So she went home in the scrubs she wore while treating Duncan. Wow Schatz Wow. After his diagnosis, nurses put on hazmat suits with double gloves and added chemo gloves and taped them to the suit. They also added a personal respirator they covered with a gown. These decisions, the lawsuit said, were made without any guidance or training by supervisors. Pham says that after Duncan died, she was told that what she had worn was safe and that she had no risk of contracting Ebola. Confident in what hospital officials told her, she spent time with friends and family. Luckily, no one she knew contracted the highly contagious Ebola. Pham's allegations echo those of other nurses. Nurse Brianna Aguirre told NBC's Today Show back in the fall that when their infectious disease department was asked about protocol, the response was that they didn't know and they would get back to them.
Am I delirious or am I deceased? I'm sick.
That is Sick by Danger Maker. They've been on the show. I've interviewed them. You can find their interview under the interviews button on the very smartphone-friendly website, MikesDailyPodcast.com. I think it was Interviews 2014. That's right. So look under that, Interviews 2014 button. So thankfully, this sickness has diminished Ebola, but now we are trying to figure out what exactly happened, and according to the nytimes.com, a growing body of scientific clues, some ambiguous, others substantial, suggests that the Ebola virus may have lurked in the West African rainforest for years, perhaps decades, before igniting the deadly epidemic that swept the region in the past year. taking more than 10,000 lives. Until recently, Ebola had been considered a threat mostly to Central African nations, yet studies tell of possible Ebola antibodies in human blood samples drawn in West Africa long before the most recent outbreak. And genetic analysis suggests the West African virus broke off from a parent strain in Central Africa at least 10 years ago, possibly as long as 150 years ago. Dr. Peter Pyatt, the director of the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, who helped discover the Ebola virus in 1976, says that his gut feeling is that the evidence points to infection before the current epidemic. Medical detectives in West Africa are now seeking to establish whether the virus had previously infected people there. The research is part of a broader push to better understand where Ebola might strike next and to strengthen surveillance and health systems in hopes of preventing future outbreaks. Beyond the known outbreaks in Central and West African nations, scientists have found signs in human blood that suggest immune reactions to Ebola in 14 other countries, 12 in Africa, as well as Panama and the Philippines. Danger Maker! As we go outside of Cafe Anyway here at the last place on earth located somewhere in Podcastro Valley.
And here's today's podcast picture.
The picture is of me after I've had a couple sips of my Turkish coffee shake, which you can get at Saturn Cafe in Berkeley. They're a pretty cool place. I got one in Santa Cruz, too. The one in Santa Cruz had been around a long time, and I remember going there a long time ago, and they had this great... They specialize in vegetarian and vegan food, but they do it in like a diner-type style, but it's a really funky diner. You can kind of see in the decor and the picture how they are. They used to have this vegetarian chili burger that was unbelievable. They served it with these huge, thick-cut fries. Oh, it was the bomb. So good. And then they stopped serving that for some reason. And then they opened one up here much closer to me here in Podcastro Valley. And they don't have that there either. So I was not actually impressed with the food. But their shake is amazing. The Turkish coffee shake. And actually, the guest that was on yesterday's show, Petra, who is a vegetarian German, which does not seem like something that is very common. She and I went there. I took her there because I thought, hey, you're going to enjoy this because you're a vegetarian. Anyway, see that picture at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Mike, I think that when Petra goes back to Germany, I want to go back with her. Oh. And bring the Disgruntled Fiddle Player with her? With you? Why would I do that? Well, you're married. Are we?
Listen, Benita, I think we should talk.
I think we should talk too.
We're outside, so why don't we talk?
Okay, you first.
Benita, I love you.
Oh, I love you too.
Okay, we're still married.
Sounds good.
All right, I'm glad you worked that out.
Yeah, Mike, we don't need all that drama.
That's what I said.
Well, they agree with you, Brewmaster.
Did I tell you I made a delicious earth beer?
We don't care. Next show, it's going to be a wonderful Into an Interview, a Matthews interview with a brand new group, a duo from Seattle, Washington, by the name of March to May. Plus, we'll hear from Madam Rutabaga Valentino and Bison Bentley.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com.
Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!